Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
I'm back and I'm mad!
Good evening, lads, ladies, lasses, and all you other motherfucking cunts. Hello, Jerry. How are you?
I am amazeballs.
That's very good to hear.
I thought so.
So, we all survived Eastern, as I presume. I greet Subdodger Danley, Fulcrum 42, Panzer Kaput in chat, and everyone else who's lurking there. I'm guessing Tuffy is there too because she wanted to be here on time. And also, hello, Lena. Just to make sure we cover our bases. Oh, and hello, Ralph.
What the fuck is this?
This
Gift a subscription.
Who's...
Why is this balls in the middle of my Twitch? Why can it not fuck the fuck off?
What?
I don't know what gift a subscription means. I don't want to do it.
Oh, great.
What I want is to see the chat without this cock at the top of it. But this is balls.
Hello the days, demons are Dutch. Oh no, not out of chocolate sacks. We still have some. Hey, easy boy, welcome to the usual speaking of things. Yes, of course, I have the gift of cock too. Panzer kaput. I'm going out on a limb and say my dungeon master is a cock.
That makes sense. Don't think much of your chances in the next game, mate. Sorry.
I'm dead anyways. So what have you been up to over the last few days?
Think work. Yeah.
But wasn't there some kind of religious holiday day off thingamajig?
Yeah, but that's not actually an official day off. So I had Saturday and Sunday off because I got Saturday and Sunday off. I was working Friday and Monday.
A shame. I was not.
I thought so.
I was
thought so.
picking out some old stuff and building weird shit from Warhammer Fantasy that I never touched before.
It's quite nice. If you've got the tied up troll slayer, he fits inside that, so his face is just peering out the little hole in the middle. Like he's in prison. That's the one. That's him.
I was actually thinking of putting him on a large rock pillar just on top.
That works too.
And illuminating the inside of this one, because I'm guessing there will be one of these candlelight LEDs fitting in there perfectly.
If there's not, you can certainly break off most of the
surrounding
outer
plastic.
casing. Yeah, there's an awful lot of wasted space in those.
Yeah, there's room for improvement. Zombie
room for
Day.
Room for expansion. Is that what you're saying? Like Lebensraum.
Jawohl.
Doesn't take much for the Germans to start.
We're
what?
Let's say 6 minutes into our podcast and we're already going off the rails again.
Highly scripted, half hour.
So shall we begin then with our first project?
Yes. Which one's this then?
I'm guessing this one, Infinity Spring Cleaning by Yosh to Go.
Awesome. Then we are running in the same order.
As is tradition. Where's my browser? Now there he is. So I'm guessing he's doing another brilliant paint job. That horrible.
Yeah. Kind of everything. He's 2 recommendations away from being late. So I imagine that we'll just jump straight over that and he won't get to be late. So that'll harden him. But we have seen this a little while ago where he was going, I painted old bases, now just got to paint old miniatures for the top of them. And since then he's gone great guns, I think is the expression. Look at that. He's using the same skin tones that I have for something. Not that I'm using them, because that would require me actually painting. But I own them. So if I wanted to do what he's doing, I could probably do that.
Very much possible. And let's just point out, he's doing an amazing work of painting, but he's Very much lacking in the department of photography. I am not seeing one light shot here.
Maybe he doesn't want to peak too soon.
Hmm.
You know, save the light shots for the end when it's all done and dusted. I love the barrels. I suppose
Yeah,
can't be
I've
just
seen
used
it
as
in the
terrain or
background, and I
objective
was
type things.
wondering, is this official terrain or something scratch built?
If it's official terrain, I'm not sure who it's from. Oh, it says there it's from Worsnell. Because I know MicroArts do a lot of official terrain for them, but don't do those because I have all the sort of MicroArtsy bits, which tend to be big squares.
I
There
like
are light
these
shots in there.
containers.
He specifically names them. Nice. So you go. Furry barrels. But it's really nice just to see that alien race in particular, because we see an awful lot of really nice Infinity stuff, but it tends to mostly be, I'm going to say, real Infinity armies.
I'm guessing the humongous chunk of resin in the background is also Infinity.
No idea what that is.
It has some side of Hackspace.
Yeah. Unless it's from, I know Defiance is shipped to a lot of places, although not the UK because Brexit. It's from Defiance, so there you go then. So, yeah, in that case, yes, it's Infinity, but I don't know if it's got rules for an Infinity yet. I know there's some overlap, and then there's some things they just went, we're going to make big fuck off things.
If you put this on the table, it will bring you nothing but pain, but it will look awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, see, here are light shots now.
Better picks in new terrain.
The miniatures are definitely lacking in the ass department.
Are you saying they've got a flat ass?
I'm saying they got no ass at all.
Shocking. Oh, it's started shipping into the UK, has it, Soap? Well, that's good. Because I know people in Europe got it start of the year, if not the end of last year.
I'm guessing these dots are some kind of special marking. 1, 2, 3.
I imagine it's there for some reason. I don't know what that reason would be, unless it's solely just to designate squad members. You know,
it's very subtle. I like it.
Subtle, like a wet sponge.
Yet readable and easy to memorize. Though it's always facing the enemy, which would make it hard for oneself to see which one of your characters has gone kaput.
Well, I think maybe it's for your enemy. Who are you shooting at? I'm shooting at that squad. I can see number 2 in its entirety. Although, at that point, it's easier just to lean across the table and just reach down and touch your opponent's model.
He did.
It's the one.
Spoing.
But yeah.
It's a nice one.
Lovely, lovely stuff.
Pardon me scratching my nose, but spring is
you
in
scratch
the
your
air.
nose away. Spring has sprung. Not here, hasn't. Fucking blowing snow in sideways earlier. Bastard.
So it does today, but the trees have begun to blossom, and since the wind doesn't care if the flowers are open all the way, it takes pollen all the way, which then leads to me having burning eyes, runny nose, and going, fuck you.
Hey, fuck you.
Well, it's one way of doing it.
Yeah, could be better.
Could be.
Freezing, yeah, we have a little bit of a temperature drop for ourselves. It's suddenly close to 0 again, for whatever reason.
Weather, that's why.
Tuffy, I told you, 17 minutes. Couldn't hold it any longer. Sorry. Then, next project, please.
Not sorry at all.
Of course
at
not,
all,
but
at
she
all,
knows
at all.
that. Why shouldn't she knows me.
Hola, Mac.
Raging Dusty Waves by Horatio Noseblower.
Mm.
Gothmog, greetings. So he's done even more Sand People.
Has
now with shoes.
been dipping into the Gripping Beast
Yeah, we left
Arabian
him
box.
last time when he was starting to...
Oh, you need to go where, because that's not the same flag that we left him last time out. There we go. There's Lloyd shots at Saga. But ignoring the Arabian theme, we've got another set of warriors. So there's another set of 8 with a variety of fancy robes on. I'm all for fancy robes on.
Very colourful.
Especially as Lloyd keeps referring to my Saracens as dolly mixtures. Well, that's about right. They've got all the colours, all the bright colours, all the bright shiny colours. And it's nice because they've, even though they are just a generic plastic box set, so the bodies and heads are going to look more or less the same for every fucker. With a variety of paints, you can still have an assorted group of people, but still have a cohesive looking force with everybody being an individual, which is weird. But this I really like because we'd seen him doing the original sort of black and white. Here's what my banner's going to be, and then he said he'd seen the really nice one that Little Big Man is doing, which I have over there somewhere in tiny man form for my 15mm with the crenellations. He went back and decided to jazz up his banner work to a new level.
I'm just hoping the wording inside it doesn't insult anybody.
Ah, you know, if they're insulted by it, fuck them. Fuck you. That's what I imagine he's cut it out of something like, I don't know, an online Quran or something. I imagine it doesn't say licorice. Sweet, sweet licorice.
So these are some not so brightly colored warriors. I'm guessing these are then core troops which are expendable.
Oh no, the last ones were core troops that are expendable. These ones are levy, who are even more expendable. They're a whole new level of expendability with them.
So these are basically your Gretchens.
Hola, Buckrow. Yeah, oh yeah, levy are terrible, terrible bastards. There's nothing to be said about them that's any good in any way, shape or form. But they do have generally, you know, arrows or slings or javelins of some description that will really annoy people's elite units of cavalry. Best way to piss off people in Saga is for their horse cart to be shot off the table by peasants.
Sounds like you've got some experience in that field.
No, generally I use the levy to do that. If Normans ride in up against the Irish, then you know they deserve all the shots they get. Lick my balls, infidels. I know I can go with that. It's a good thing to put on a banner.
I'm somehow doubting his translation skills.
Oh yeah, that's a shame. But once again, the overall theme of that light blue,
it's very
even
nice.
on the and the fact that he's got it on all of their, I suppose, turbans, regardless of whether they're peasant or warrior or presumably Hearthguard, means you have that consistent colour, which I think is very important, even in a force that shouldn't be uniformed, but you want some form of uniformity on the tabletop just so they don't look like a collection of poor bastards thrown together.
Well, you need something that ties an army together to know who to shoot in the midst of battle and who not.
Yeah. I concur.
So then we hope Horatio doesn't take a long break again. And
I imagine he won't.
Then
if he does, I'll just start deleting entries in his project every day until he starts posting again.
I don't think he would notice at first and simply blame the project system for being weird.
It's not a bug, it's a feature.
And automatically expiring projects. Here's the thing.
Oh, it would be amazing. Amazing.
Next up then, somebody is doing construction work.
Yes, we looked at his tower.
Again, it's Brigand.
Saga. It doesn't have to be Saga. It could be anything at all. But you know,
Well, the
obviously,
project systems
best
Saga.
best
Age
is
of
Saga.
Vikings.
Yeah, well, you know, You know,
I'm
it doesn't have
taking
to
what
be.
I can get.
But we'd already seen the core of the building put together.
Yes.
Now he's going in and doing a bit more. He puts interior decorating. He's also tiled his roof. And look, he managed to get his roof to fit together, unlike Lloyd.
I was just about to say, has he taken a page out of Lloyd's book and said, fuck it, I'm doing it another way?
Study your maths, kids. Key to the universe. If you want to know how to make a tetrahedron, then, you know, the key start is that the triangles are not equalateral triangles. That's your first takeaway.
To be fair, I made that mistake myself not too long ago, so 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember what I was trying to build. I think it was some cardboard house. I just wanted some roofing on it. Yeah, I quickly saw my error and thought to myself, that's not good. I didn't invest as much work as Lloyd had with all the shingling done, and then realizing, oh, I made an oopsie.
That's why I always build my shape first, and then detail it afterwards.
Yeah.
Once it fits. Measure twice, cut once. That's what they tell us. But yeah. So we'd already seen extensive amount of work done by the medium of gypsum light, but hammered into his crunchy nut cornflakes, I think, for his shingles.
Yeah, and now he's doing interior decorations via the means of wood.
Yep. Coffee stirrers and balsa wood. I love balsa. It's an amazing material.
It is.
Pythagoras is a very important guy. Very much so, yeah.
Wouldn't put that to a debate, nope. I think he's earned his place in history. What I was about to say is I would love to work more with balsa wood. The trouble is I'm getting my hobby wood supply from the local hardware store, and they don't have balsa. I would need to go to the hobby store to get balsa, and that's on the other side of town, and I can't be asked.
At least you have one in your country. Our last hobby shop shut down last year.
Oh.
Last year was the year before. I think things blur because of 2020 being shit. So it may have been 2019 it shut, or early 2020. But yeah, so there are no hobby stores in Nairn. When I run out of my last, because I've got a couple of mixed packs of balsa wood that I bought from them, when I run out of those, I'll have to just start ordering it. Coffee stirrers are okay, but balsa wood's a much softer wood, so it's easier to cut and shape, and also I have, you know, sheets of various depths and densities. Well, not densities, but depths and sizes. So you get like a balsa pack where it would have 1 mil, 2 mil, 3 mil, 5 mil, some 6x5s, and just this assorted thing, all about 30 centimeters long. And you just go through and go, I need sheets for this, and I need squares for corners, and make a bridge out of this bit. It's great. Yeah, you can just sit and whittle it down.
The biggest advantage of the balsa is that you can actually use a wiring brush and just go over it, and then you have a very nice wooden texture,
wood grain texture. I was never
using that on these hardened coffee stirrers. Usually doesn't work as good.
Yeah. I would still tend to go in with a pencil and just draw my lines in, but it means you could literally draw in planks. So you could get a sheet that was 100 millimeters long and actually just with a ruler and a pencil draw the boards in. You wouldn't need to glue together 20 boards to make your wooden fence or wall or whatever it was. So remarkably quick in that respect.
I think it's earned its place in miniature wargaming for a reason.
Yeah, I've got a couple of different plastic cards with wood on them, and again, they're quite nice, but not as easy to work with. Although if you're skinning something, it's quite handy. I've got stone texture ones as well. Slaters do A4 size sheets, and then it's not Statler. It'll come to me. Do little like 15 by 9 or something centimeter, but it's much thicker stuff. It's more robust. In fact, he says, I'm pretty sure I've got one right here, which may actually tell me on the back who makes it. I do have one here. It does not tell me on the back who makes it, but it's quite nice. You've probably seen that in a woody type thing. That may or may not show you wood.
It's very in focus.
Holy shit balls. In focus. I'll never catch on. They're quite nice. I think the Stabler stuff, which is bigger sheets and thinner, I mean, it's like paper thin plastic card, but it means you can cover much bigger areas without having to worry about joins and seams and stuff.
And so you only need to make a substructure out of something like XPS foam. Just glue it on. So this was Brigand's Warband's War Tower interior decoration tips and tricks. Next time he will do what the fuck is it called? Wallpapers and posters.
Wallpaper is great.
Next
Fighty wallpaper is the best.
Next up then is Sleepy Hollow by Henry Light.
We had a look at his pumpkin patch.
Yes, his very where is it? There, his Dracula beast thing.
Nosferatu.
That's the one I was looking for. And so he's
I
done.
would have given you bonus points if you'd said Count Orlok, which was the name of the character from Nosferatu, but you didn't, so we won't.
Yeah, I was thinking about the black and white silent movie and just got totally lost in the images in my mind.
I don't know if Bill's is gone, but it hasn't been open in a year and a half. And last time I was in, I don't think they sold Balsa. So,
welcome, 87 Collins. Toad in the hole took priority. What the hell is he meaning by that? And
sausage.
I really want to know.
A sausage in some form of pastry type thing. I think it's pastry. It's a pastry.
So food. I can accept that. Yes.
Well, yeah, making birch trees.
Yeah, and they look
via
fantastic.
the nature of stuff.
They almost look too good because my nose is starting to itch even more. Because I'm actually allergic to birch.
Yorkshire pudding. I knew it was something like that. It's interesting. He says that there are dried up branches in a pot. I tried to see if the dried roots, and roots is one that I've seen a few people using, and I think for miniature hobby, well, not for birch trees who you want to be thin with very little in the way of branches, but a lot of deciduous trees, sycamore, oak, that type of thing, roots work better because they tend to be quite thick, gnarled, and they have a massive structure. If you're ever planning on drying out actual trees to make your trees,
additionally,
plant roots is great.
Lends itself better for being dried because they don't have bark. Simply. Not all blood and gore, no. This is definitely some psycho horror dude.
Yeah.
Don't look into his eyes. Don't look into his eyes.
You get a delightful bit of narrative about smuggler Barnaby P. Joyless and the history there in and around the 7 Year War. So I'll let people read that at their leisure. I won't go into it. But the paint job is very nice because it's minimalist. He's got his tricorn and he's got a great coat on. But there's a really nice little bit of OSL.
That's why I wouldn't call that basic. He does a very subtle but very nice job of the OSL there. It's not the airbrushy kind where you actually can see that somebody just went. But
there's a lot to be said about going. It's great. It's Friday. It's 5 to 5, and it's Cracker Jack. Nomad, you get a cabbage, as we've got no Cracker Jack pencils for you. Sorry.
Is this something I should be aware of? No.
No, not unless you're of an age from the UK. That's
always the weird one when you interact with the chat on things that are common knowledge for you or some kind of weird inside joke. And I'm just sitting here, What the fuck are they talking about? Are we going to get into trouble for this?
Well, we don't have any pens either. Yeah, so it's nice to see. It just seems to be flicking back and forth between miniature terrain. I like it. It's nice.
Yeah, it keeps it interesting, and I think it helps keep the interest in the project itself. So, nicely done, Henry Light.
Which means somewhere out there must be a full fat or sugared Henry.
Henry Classic.
Henry Classic. Ask him.
So next up are Victorian science fiction. Again, Denzian. We have seen him with his weird objective markers. These things start to look really spooky. Has anyone shown these to Justin yet?
No.
Why not?
Oh, yeah. Because that would require cornering a Justin and making him look at the project system.
Or you could simply send him a picture or two via WhatsApp or anything else you usually use for internal communications. I love
Discord.
the tentacle.
That's why I use.
Oh, and the floaty brains are back.
Yes, he only has 2 tickles though, not 10 tickles. Thank you. I was singing that last week, bugger off, and nobody joined in with me. It was terrible. Terrible, I say.
If I had known what you were singing.
It's fucking War of the Worlds. Oh, son of a bitch.
Colour is striking.
Culture. You try and give people culture and you don't get any culture. Like a what song?
Oh look,
Outrageous.
it's the mole.
Outrageous. Yeah, bit of touch the old steampunk. Full of lost Victorians searching for their Earth's core.
Scooter Walker with even more tentacles.
You know, it's a thing.
Are these completely scratchable, or does he have some kind of source? Still
For the walkers,
yeah.
I think they are models that he's added bits to, because there were a couple of older games, and I know he has multiple walkery things, so I'm not sure where they've sprung from. So this is a sort of a refresh. I don't know if this is actually listed as Sprinkling Challenge or not, but there was stuff that's been kicking around and getting battered and bruised, so they've been tidied up, a bit of new sort of detailing done on them, and then getting a fresh new paint job so they can come scuttling out of their disastrous Martian pods that have landed on Earth.
And then invade and do all kinds of nasty anal probing.
Break out the pew pew guns.
Also that, yes.
Yep. Thankfully, no tanks, so those heat rays will only kill men. Where's the tank? That costs money. So you need to protect those.
And these walkers are quite large.
Yes, there's a great picture near the top, which you probably skip past, where it shows you the 6-legged one, and then big actual proper tripod side by side, and there's a massive difference in size between them. There you go. Yeah. So even though it's still huge, because I think he's using 10mm for the humans. It's difficult to tell what size a Martian brain thing is, but I think the humans are 10s or might be 15. But obviously the tripods themselves and hexapods are fucking enormous and just look terrific.
Spring cleaning hobby tag.
He is listed as spring cleaning. Oh, God bless him. Then it means I don't have to go in and change it for him. It's nice to see somebody,
listening to you.
And it's not just that it's a bit of a spring clean thing. It's so out of left field,
Yeah, it's a game system we don't see anybody else doing currently. At least I can't remember, and especially the tripod walkers are one of a kind.
18 mil. There we go. So yeah, they're amazing. Just run up Primrose Hill, give them both barrels. Bam, 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 ba ba da, ba ba da, bam, bam, bam. Choo, 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 choo. Yeah, the outdoor pictures just look great. I'm a fan of those.
I'm guessing if he would run out now doing the current weather, he would have even more genius pictures if he could keep the miniatures down long enough and keep them from not flowing away.
Somebody did it. Stormtrooper stuff in the snow.
Yeah,
I can't remember if it was
some Battle of Hoth miniatures in the snow, but I
can't
think
remember if
that
it was or not.
a day without wind.
Anyway.
So then the next project.
Yes.
Romano-British for Dux Britannium.
Yeah, sure. So,
oh, we have been here some time ago. Oh, you changed the order of...
I changed the order because there's quite a lot. He's been working on stuff. So you can probably get about halfway, I imagine, before we start hitting new stuff. But anybody who hasn't seen it before, really nice footsore Romano-British / late Roman. Being done up like a kipper.
Still scrolling. I've got my finger.
Yep, right, you should be.
Here's it.
Yeah.
So we left after he finished Numeri Group 3.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Next up then are Commandi Polaris.
Sure. That sounds good. Let's say yes. Excellent. I really like the whole tutorial aspect because I'm like that. Also, I own these models, and at some point I could go in and just steal his color scheme because he literally goes, I use these colors in these ratios to paint these bits. Discuss. And there's a lot to be said for that. It saves me having to think.
But you know what would be really evil? To do such a project and to intentionally use wrong ratios of color and then simply snicker at anybody who says, I'm using the exact amount you said and it doesn't look anything like the ones on your side.
I know. Some people might do that, but then I'm going to go out on a limb and say most people doing this are doing it more for themselves than to help anybody else out. So in 3 years' time, when they buy another unit of these and want to match them, they could just go, oh, it was like that. That's great.
So they have their color code in their little black book.
Mine's actually a tiny green book that says we're going on an adventure. Well, yeah, same thing.
Going on an adventure.
On an adventure.
Speaking of Tolkien, did you watch the whole film, the Russian version?
Not the whole one. I watched there's 2 hours worth. There's the first video that I linked that was like 50 minutes long, and then there's another video that's like an hour and 2 minutes long, and I watched both of those. I have fucking no clue what's going on. I think by the end of the second one they'd left the elves, although those elves had mental beards on. So, just saying.
We're talking about the Russian version of Lord of the Rings that has resurfaced after 30 years?
Yeah, let's say 30 years. Now, they say it was the 90s, but there were special effects in there that would not have been out of place in the mid-80s. In fact, there was a lens flare technique on a candle that I'm pretty sure I'd seen in the box of delights one Christmas on the Beeb. Where are you up to? Oh, you're thundering on regardless.
I'm on the last leg here.
Oh, you're not on that last leg.
I would need to hit previous entries, which...
You will need to, yeah.
Possibly leads to total disaster.
Let's hope not, because it's really the more recent stuff is why we're here.
Second noble.
Yeah. So the nobles are quite nice anyway, and those nobles are generally all named for Arthur's Knights on the Footsource website, so you can actually pick yourself up a boars or that sort of thing,
I really
or grab a Lancelot. Yeah, the shield transfers are awesome. I particularly like he's gone for super shiny chrome-like silvered steel on the nobles, which is really punchy. And I'm 100% behind that.
You want to
That's how you
blind
know they've got all the money.
your enemies when going into battle. The Lord.
Yeah, he's all right. Like he's saying, "Stop in the name of love," but then at the end we get a look at the completed warband.
Singing YMCA.
Oh, you know, get a look at the completed warband in their entirety and in situ, and that, you know, again, lovely little vignette. I'm becoming more and more a sucker for people who actually set up to take pictures of their things rather than just taking pictures of their miniatures with like no background. It just looks nice. Wouldn't do it myself. I mean, who's got the time
And the space. I would have to clear the kitchen table to make such pictures.
No, you know, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But in keeping with a lot of what we've been talking about tonight, what drew me into this is his recent updates, where he's been doing a boatload of terrain of various types, mostly scratch built.
So is that green stuff thatching he did?
Yes, that is, as you've noticed,
is he
green stuff
mad?
thatch. He's not the only person. I've seen somebody else using a lot of green stuff, which will actually, it's another train project, and we will see it later on in this episode. So fear not. Oh, actually, no, it might just. No, I think it's actually the very last one in this, where they've really gone all in.
And he also
He's made an Australian orchard.
Australia.
Yeah, but if you click on it, it goes the right way.
Oh,
right way round.
Turn me right round, baby, running like a record, turning round. Yeah, you were saying.
If you say so.
Music will never catch on.
I quite like the farmhouse now. I don't know if it's just me, being me, but if you embiggen the farmhouse, do we think those are members of his family who have not survived, buried alongside? Scroll down a bit.
Please.
And then to the right. There we go. So there's previous generations / children who have not made it through the cruel winter.
Very much possible.
I think so.
Always keep your fertilizer handy.
I do like the tiling. I have a set of tiles from war bases, and I imagine those are also war base tiles, although a different style of cat, because they have the same dimpling on them, whatever they're made from or for. Yeah, it's quite nice.
War bases, laser cut A4 sheets.
Yes. Then we're going to hit some dry stone walls and another building in a similar vein to the farmhouse.
Sadly, he's explaining what the raised beds are.
You know, he can explain all day long, but as we learned recently, if you're going to murder and bury somebody, then you should always plant something on top of them to prevent people from digging them up.
Yeah, you need to use plants that are under protection. So
Exactly.
that they're not allowed to be dug up.
Yeah, there we go. So that's what they are. However, I would almost say you could probably skip on past the Saxons. So there's about 3 entries. You've got dry stone walls, you've got a building and the building painting, and then you've got the upcoming Saxons, which I'm being, I'm going to say, blamed for. Although he did say Ben was there with me in the XLBS where we were saying we wanted to see battle reports, and that's why he posited he should start doing a Saxon force. So really it's Ben's fault. Actually, now I think about it, that's fuck all to do with me.
Because Ben, as we all know, and he's never getting tired to point out, he is the one who brought Saga to the table, so it is his fault.
Yeah, very much so. So he goes through and explains what he's basing his force on, but then we come to the meat, Alan, potatoes of this entry, which is why we're here. He has got himself a building, it looks like a Sarissary one. It might be a Warbases one. It is a Sarissary one. However, regardless of who made it, he is putting on every fucking stone individually. And that's not just, I'm going to put a green stuff
Why?
layer on it. And then, because there's no detail on Sarissa buildings, they're all flat like that. The only detail you have is like the brickwork every so often. And he's gone, no, this needs to be stone and it needs to be done in layers. And each brick needs to be individually. If you ambiguate any of these pictures, you'll see that each stone that's been individually hand put in there has little marks where he sat with the tool and made like stony marks on it to make it look less flat.
There has been a tool sitting with a tool doing stonework. You're mad. You're mental.
That is fucking amazing. I wouldn't have used green stuff. I would have used Sculpey because it's cheaper and gives you arguably the same effect, if not slightly better.
You
However,
need a lot of green stuff. No shit, Sherlock.
regardless, this is just, it would have, what was it? It's easy to build. It was too Mediterranean in style with its clean lines. So one in Britain would obviously be made of stone rather than have a nice plastered facade. Hence, green stuff. All the way up. Green stuff to the moon. Isn't it amazing how much effort that is? Here's how I would have done it, right? Step 1, roll out a sheet of green stuff. Step 2, stick it to the building. Step 3, stone or cobblestone roller over the top of it. And then step 4, ball of tinfoil, big fuck off ball of tinfoil rolled up, and then just roll it back and forward over the top of the stones to give it like a crinkly stone effect, and then walk the fuck away. Actually, that's a lie. That would have just stayed inside its flat pack and it would never have been assembled. But, I can dream. But Jesus, the fucking work going into that.
You're not dreaming. You're issuing a theoretical approach on how to do it more efficiently.
He got the tower from his brother, gave it to him, so he didn't have to pay for anything. He's like Columbo on a cruise. My wife won this. We don't have to pay for anything.
And one more thing.
Yep. So there you go. So yeah, the armies are lovely, the setting's lovely, the detail and scratch building work. But the minute I seen the green stuff tower, all right, there's no way this is not going in the show, because holy shit balls.
Demon Sub, I think DAS would work too, but I think you would need to make the MDF wet so that the DAS sticks better to it.
I would go for Milliput over DAS, because DAS shrinks quite badly. Like a lot of air drying clays, there's an awful lot of shrinkage on it. So that perfect fit he's got there, all of a sudden you'd end up with huge gaps appearing after it dried. Then you'd have to go back in and fucking fill them in again.
Yeah, but you can mitigate the shrinkage of DAS by putting a damp cloth over it to make it dry out slowly. At least that's what I remember from a video Mel the Terrain Tutor did once, and I think it's also a part of his book.
It's possible, but there's still, simply because it's an air dried
it's
clay,
going to lose
there
volume.
is going to be shrinkage. Yeah, it's not like
a two-component putty of sorts will be better.
Green stuff and Milliput are better because they don't lose to the shrinkage because you're not losing water. So. But yeah, it's just what the fuck, amazing, fucking amazing.
Yeah, you say amazing, I say, dude, you're mental. Please get your head checked.
Oh yeah, adding PVA glue to DAS is great.
Unless this is some kind of coping mechanism because something bad happened into your life and you needed the distraction, then by all means, move on, do another one of those, do a castle, do it 8 tables worth of terrain that way. I'd be very much impressed. Also, just in case Ben is looking, I think we've got a potential button here. But that's just my personal opinion. No pressure there.
I've given him 3 for next week. Don't know if he'll use them, but I've given them.
When Lloyd is back.
Yep, that's the hope.
I'm so looking forward to that. I was, to be honest, a bit disappointed that it wasn't working this weekend. Well, we can't have everything as long as we have most.
I got most things.
Next then, Bruchella. What a Bruce Lee? What's this name? Why? How to be an armored farmer building hobbards, funnies, and glorious 15mm and maybe 28mm if they arrive in time.
Nice tight title. I like that.
Yeah, short and sweet, just like our scripted.
Exactly. There's even an episode 1 and a PDF there that you can click on. I'm not going to because he pushed that on April 1st and I don't want viruses on my PC.
Oh, let's see if anything goes bazonkas. Oh, so there seems to be... Oh, it's a boring text. Some pictures. You lot can look at yourself. It's a PDF with a lot of bare metal. Oh,
There's lots of bears metal.
Hello, Martin. Hello. So, what actually is he doing? Tanks, obviously.
Well, he's told you. It's there in the very concise title.
Yeah, and the project description is also
building,
very...
building Hobart's funnies and glorious 15mm brackets and maybe 28mm if they arrive in time. So...
Oh, look.
Yeah.
A tool shed.
Yeah, there's a lot of tillage going on there, isn't there? The 7 Ps.
Yeah, and let's just say there are two things on this table. One I find funny that he actually added it, and one I still need for myself. Can you guess which is which?
2 things. One you found funny and one you need for yourself.
Yes.
I know you're waiting on a pin vise arriving. That we said the other day. Is that what you mean?
Nope.
No. No, in that case I don't care.
No, so
come on, tell me.
The funny thing, he actually did glasses as a tool for hobby. Actual glasses, not any special thing, but ordinary glasses. And the tool I still need is this small hobby saw.
The wank rag makes sense. Razor saw.
Yeah.
Razor saws.
Because I need to saw up some resin terrain. Not fugu.
Fugu.
Not fugu.
No, fugu will not be sawed. That's sitting on the floor right next to me, waiting its turn.
Fair enough. I shall allow it.
Yeah, I still need time to rewatch your Jerry Can on painting the things.
Oh, chuck it all on and then break out the toothbrushes and go flick, flick, flick.
Yeah, I've got myself a toothbrush. See here, it's just slightly used a bit, possibly. I've got pigments, but I need some alcohol.
Alcohol. You can use vodka. Beats drinking it.
Still need it.
Doesn't wick off as quickly, to be fair, so it's probably not hugely suitable. There you go.
Oh, and now he's showing off glasses again and a Dremel.
With a dusty mask.
Yeah, with a weird British plug.
Maybe he learned about setting out the tools from Norm from the New Yankee Workshop. And the most important thing are these, your safety glasses.
Well, then he should use safety glasses and not ordinary glasses.
How do you know they're not safety glasses?
Safety glasses have a thing that goes back to your head and just encompass it, so that there's nothing going in sideways.
You can get prescription safety glasses.
I wish.
I know this because my father had them for years, with little slide-on plastic attachments that slid onto the arms and then covered the side as well.
And they're not showing on these glasses, so I'm guessing those are not.
Yeah.
Oh no,
but they're literally slide-on.
He's losing bits while washing. Oh no.
It's because he's got a sieve. His cunning plan. This is a comprehensive, if you want to start building stuff, here's how you start building. He's obviously seen the niche in the spring clean challenge for
Decent tutorials for beginners.
best tutorial, yeah, and it's just fucking going in whole hog on this one. So we're not quite getting 87 pictures of one miniature from every angle, but
Not
instead,
yet, at least.
instead we have very comprehensive sort of build. I quite like the idea behind the sieve. I wouldn't do it with a hard plastic sprue. Generally, I don't find there's particularly much mold release on them because they work on the principle that it's hot injected plastic and they don't put mold release on the steel dies for those.
Since we now know he's aiming for best tutorial for the sprinkling challenge,
I think that's exactly what he said, Martin.
Yeah, and I think we must read his texts in a dad voice. So, if you are going to use a Dremel style tool, trying on a bit of sprue or resin block first, see what the best cuts. Exactly. or going for...
Before starting any cutting and gluing bits of shiny, it's always good practice to give it a wash in warm soapy water. This ensures any mold release, oil or agent is cleaned off the surface and won't interfere with your glue of choice or your paint. This is especially necessary if you're a proponent of Duncan Rhodes' method of two thin coats.
If you are cutting, grinding or filing resin, wear a mask. The one in the photo is minimum grade I would recommend, and it's an FFP3 grade, which is suitable for working with asbestos, which is probably the worst shit you can mess with, so will be good enough for hobbying. These are easy enough to get hold of in most DIY shops and aren't that expensive. How did
he says that? he says they're easy to get a hold of. But has anybody tried to buy a dust mask over the last year since everything went shitwise?
Nope.
It's been a fucking nightmare. I have that as my mask that I use, 3M, when I'm doing airbrushing or any sort of hobby work. And I haven't been able to get the filters. They've been out of stock. Oh, these ones, no. No, you're meant to replace them. You take them off and discard. But getting the filters for these have been now impossible unless you're willing to pay 7 to 10 times the going price. Somebody was selling just the filters
at
like 30 odd quid. So, want to become famous? Shangli? No.
Go
fuck
yourself.
So yeah. So it's been weird because, and these aren't even actually any good for stopping COVID in any way, shape, or form. So totally unsuitable. But people have just been buying every fucking mask they could find.
Yeah,
things went weird.
I'm just glad that my mask, when I got it last year with the airbrush, has 3 spare filters to go. So I'm good for the next 2 years.
Well. Masks and toilet papers. That's how I know Zombieland is fiction now. Whenever I watch them walk through the supermarket and they're walking down aisles filled with, toilet roll everywhere but no food left in the place, you just think, well, that's clearly a lie.
Yeah, it's all propaganda.
Anywho.
Next up then, War Master. 10mm miniatures from Forest Dragon. Tony Sylvie. Oh God! What?
The delightful Tony. I think he was upset with you saying he was shit at painting Tiny Fighting Men last week. Pretty sure that's what I took away. So he decided to knock out Joan, the maid of Orleans. I mean, there's not much in it. It really is just here, just to look at the heroes and bask in their glory. Go on then, start basking.
This is a 10mm figure.
Is it necessary to
more detail than I?
What I will say, Sub, if you're carving it, drilling it, or sanding it, yes, because the particulates in resin is incredibly fine and will do a lot of damage to your lungs long term if you're going to be doing a lot of work on it. So if you're sitting there with a file and just filing, you should definitely be wearing a dust mask for it because it's much worse than metal or plastic. But if you're just cutting and gluing, you don't need to.
If I recall correctly, resin, the dust that builds up from shaving is almost as hard to get out of your lungs again, like asbestos fibers.
Yeah.
It simply won't get out again. And every other thing you inhale has the potential to be coughed out again at some point, but resin, dust, and asbestos fibers don't. So, yeah, use a mask and clean your workspace after. Use a wet, damp cloth. Just to be safe. So I was ranting about this fucker doing 10mm miniatures on a painting level I probably will never see because of my eyes.
I remember. and then you spat. You went, fuck Tony Sylvie. Like that. I remember it. It was scary.
Fuck the Tony Sylvie, yeah.
Everything was black and white. You were Italian for some reason.
I will make him an offer he can't refuse.
But yeah, I'm literally just here for the two heroes that he's done. That's all we're here for. Just so you can sit and look at them and go, ooh. You know.
And a glorious Lloyd shot.
Yeah, you know, if that's the sort of thing you're after.
I need some kind of assassin miniature in the background going, stabby, stabby, stabby.
That's why they've all got their backs turned. Stab them up.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I'm not going
Good.
to say anything.
It's good times.
Yeah.
No,
Nice for some people to have a life, a hobby, talent, unending hatred.
If it makes you feel any better, he did have to paint the Dwarf Army for Warren.
Oh.
So in that respect, you know, think of it this way. This is just nature. This is nature giving back.
Yeah, I think we will let this go then, and we'll have him paint more of his little miniatures. Maybe Warren wants him to paint some more things for him in the future. I think Warren has 1 or 2 open projects on his palette. Maybe. Or 3.
We'd look at more of those 87, except I haven't posted anything in a while, and I never looked at Tim's in time to include it. Otherwise, we would. Maybe next time.
Oh, looking at shit project is easy. Just go randomly. if you don't be if you're not repelled at the first sight of the miniature, just hit random next. There should be a random button at the project system. Show random project now, with no higher rating than 10 or something.
That would be a delight to see.
Yeah, I'm guessing some poor admin we both know is currently twitching because he feels somebody is setting up ideas into people's heads.
It's all right. He'll just ignore them.
Next project then. This Sisters, but not of the Temple of Doom.
I've never used the AK paint remover, but most things work on resin. I have a resin thing sitting in Dettol at the moment, stripping quite happily. So
BioStrip works on resin, I'm told, says Toros. I can't give any advice on that because I never stripped anything resin made, because my resin things I have are very limited and most of them are buildings, which usually don't get stripped. So Dolgath is cranking out even more Sisters for his tiny battle force.
Yep, I quite like the fact he's got the Chaos. I think it's a Noise Marine backpack
on a stick.
Well, on the back of the Douglas, so she can scream her battle hymns at the other nuns with guns from a distance.
Though I feel she's potentially a bit top heavy at that.
Yeah, I know. They've got big bases. I'm sure they can be stuffed full of something.
pens?
Yep.
She actually doesn't
Lead.
have any base currently.
Yeah, no, but GW bases in general, they're like 3 or 4 mil. They're not quite a Star Wars Legion plinth, but there's enough depth in there to fill them with multiple coins or washers if needs be.
I once thought to myself, maybe you should simply pour molten lead in it, and then I thought to myself, no, molten lead and plastic potentially
No,
don't go
it's
too well.
Weirdly, I've got that sitting there.
What?
Right.
Hold on, I need to embiggen that. Where's my control here? Is it?
Where I got bored one day and wanted to see if I could just melt, because it's got lead has a very low melt point. Can you see the top one there?
Mm-hmm.
So I just sat there just melting blobs of lead in it to see if I can give it weight. And, to be fair, it's stuck in there rightly. It's not glued or anything. I just dripped it in, and it doesn't melt sufficiently quickly enough to melt through the base. It just sort of starts to fill up, so it's good. It's fine. It's grand. Go ahead, melt away. I've got whole bundles of scrap lead sitting in little jars for me to use for weighting bases.
And with scrap lead, Jerry means old sprues from Games Workshop miniatures.
Some cases, old Games Workshop miniatures. They knew the risks. Now,
people in chat are... I know your average age is above the one of a teenager, everybody. So if I'm saying this nun is top heavy, and you guys go on a rant about C-cups, I'm glad I'm not the only one.
But what I will say before we move away is we've been dipping in and out of this for, I think, 2 weeks now.
Yeah, every now and again.
Every now and again. There's an awful lot of work preparation-wise has been done.
Not a single pot
you
of
will
paint.
You will not see this again until some things are started painted and completed. So this is the last time we'll see it for a little while, because I imagine it's getting everything ready and then it's just going to prime everything in one go. But I thought we'd at least say hello and goodbye to it before we move on.
Do it like I do sometimes. Build them all. Look at the build things. Say I built them well. Put them in the box. Put them on the shelf and forget about them.
At least if they're built, they can be played with.
That's true.
So don't actually need paint.
The next one, then, please. Polish 1620 by Fock.
That's almost 4:30.
Yes. Demon Sub prefers teabagging. Well, that's nice to know.
It is good to know.
Everybody has his kings.
So, weirdly, for the second time in 2 days, Mezer's miniatures are mentioned. Oh, a bit of alliteration for you. And this is because he's got some 30-year war figures from Avonpost, which is a Russian company, which have a UK stockist in Mezer's, which is just something we were talking about regarding Greeks in Discord yesterday with Steve. So these are a bit of a review, I suppose, of some really nice bespoke resin minis and metal minis, which I have to say are
they 20?
absolutely nah. Those are 1 centimeter squares behind them.
Oh, okay.
So 1, 2, 3.
Wondering.
So it's 28 mil to eye level. So probably 30 mil to eye level actually. But yeah, absolutely gorgeous set of figures, resin and metal. I'm assuming those are resin rather than hard plastic for the color party there. Yeah, resin and metal. I mean, those are fucking stunning. I'd never heard of Avon before, probably because it's not a period I play, so I haven't gone looking, and they don't have a shop like a lot of these sculptors in Russia. They just seem to run off their Facebook page. So there are a lot of really, really fantastic sculptors hiding in Russia, probably from the Stasi under their beds, but they're fucking gorgeous.
And he's doing a very nice paint job on them as well.
Oh yeah, Oh, he's
The bases are unusual.
no, that command, the trapezoid look that sets, and then it sits in front of your background, because your backgrounds are standard squares or rectangles. So it's a standard setup for that. I'm trying to remember what he uses game wise, because it's not Black Powder he was using last time I was speaking to. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. He has a set of commands from Terco. I have those to review, actually. Them and their flags, which is quite nice. So it's gorgeous. Normally you'll see, pretty sure Fog's name is Andy. And if he ever hears this and it's not, I'm sorry.
No, it's not.
But he does, no, really not. I'm terrible for fucking names. But he's part of a group that runs games at Salute and the like every year. So I think last year he did, not last year because there wasn't one last year, 2020, the year that just fucking annoys my happiness. 2 years ago, he did Gustav Adolphus' Last Charge. And it was absolutely beautiful. Beautiful board set up as well. And I think the majority of the figures on the tabletop was stuff he had painted. So he hammers it out
Just look at
a rate of knots.
The detailing in this base.
You know, it's command base. They need to be flash. They're always going to be running about the place. East German, Russian, all the same. All the same.
No comment from my side.
No difference in them. Is who the Swedish fellow? Adolphus? Yes, he was the Lion of the North. Or if you're talking about Andy, then no, he's English.
Yeah, wargaming, the hobby that brings together continents and countries only to divide them by nagging about what system, what basing, and what color scheme is correct.
Oh, you know, if you're playing historics, then your basing is generally fine, because most decent rule sets will be either base agnostic or use UDs. So it doesn't matter what your basing is, your basing will work because all the measurements are based off your basing. It's only, you know, shitty games that keep changing base sizes.
Or even base formats.
It was the base sizes annoyed me long before they started fucking changing the format. Cock gobbling fuck munches that they are.
Yes, we are not going to talk about that. Let's talk about...
I will. My uncle went 20 mils to 25 mils and then back to 20 mils over the space of 3 fucking editions. Fuck you, GW. Pick one and stick with it, you cunts.
Zoid Pinhead does Saga.
Saga.
Foundry suitable for Saga.
They are suitable for Saga. I recognize these boxes because I unboxed them. And I'm not talking about I've unboxed this box from Foundry before. I've literally unboxed these boxes because Warren traded an army.
It all started with a trade with Warren for my painted 50mm DBA Dark Ages collection.
So my fingers have been all over these, touching the map.
And Justin has been coughing in it.
Oh, I imagine, yeah, Justin coughs on everything just to be, you know, certain. But he's going for a speed paint, which is quite nice.
I know I've said this again and again, but it still baffles my mind when I see these boxes and it says 4 points. And I see a fuck ton of miniatures and I'm going, huh? How does that work?
It's a point per unit. Bosh. Boosh.
So, speed painting, of course, he's using contrast, the lazy
Using contrast, yep. But he's comboing it with things. So it's not just contrast and walk away. There's subsequent highlighting on some things, or even using army painter dips as well to get more contrast than just the contrast alone.
Horses first. They are the easiest. That's debatable.
I've got a set of contrast paints. I've 2 board games I need to paint up for Let's Plays, so I've got a set of contrasts from the store sent down to me, so I'm going to experiment with them to see what they're like. I'm very confused. Some of them are thick like snot. Remember that bit in The Usual Suspects where Kevin Spacey's talking about his urine? Because he's so dehydrated, it came out like snot. It was all thick. And that's what some of the contrast paints are like. There's no flow in them. So, yeah, I'm very confused. I'm going to have to do... I've done this for my... whatever the fuck that thing's called. Instant Color from Scale 75, where I did a little grid and then painted all the bastards on, so I can look at that and go, this is the color is when it's dry, and therefore I'll know. And I'm probably going to do the same on the back for the like dozen contrast colors I have, because some I think you can just go ahead and paint straight out of the bottle, and some are so thick that they probably need to be diluted about 5:1 before they're actually going to be usable, without just completely matting all the detail under them. It's confusing. I'm confuzzled, but I'll get there.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure there's a jerry can in there.
Yeah.
Comparing all the fast speed paint methods that there are.
Nah. Here's the time. Nobody got time for that, like Erica says.
That would have been a nice April 1st jerry can, like a 5-second one where you chuck it all paints you have on the table, go, pick your choice, they all work. Fuck off.
We're all the same. Practice, practice, practice.
Aim with the tip.
Probably, I've got glazed medium. I'd probably just use that if I have to thin them. I don't know. I'll experiment a bit. I'm easy that way.
That's a lot of miniatures.
Dulux paint is amazing, and paint charts are amazing. There's a lot to be said about paint charts. I keep all the Vallejo ones. I've got like fucking 10 of them.
So how fast did he
No need.
actually go? 5 days.
5 days to get a...
Jeebus.
Sorry, now, to give people a rough idea, I've had, I'm going to say, 15 points of Normans for about 5 years, and they're still not out of the bags yet. So he's certainly faster than me. That is true. Everything's comparative speaking, mind you. You can't really say.
So these,
But it shows exactly what contrasts are for, and Martin's done the same. If you're going to be painting something and you need to paint it quickly, why break your back? Highlighting the living shit out of everything. Everybody is faster than me. It's a tragic tale, it has to be said. But we'll get there eventually.
49 miniatures if I've not...
Oh yeah, playing with unpainted is perfectly fine. I was playing a game of Warhammer one day, and one of my staff didn't build my ogres for me. He said something like, "Your ogres, you should have built them yourself," and then got really annoyed when I just played with a 4x4 square of 40mm bases on movement tray, just pushing it towards him. And what the fuck are they? I'm going, they're my ogres you didn't build. Fuckface. If you don't want to play, against empty bases, then I suggest next time you build my ogres when I tell you.
Well, if he had been clever, he would have made cardboard tokens like the Dreadnought from the second edition of 40k.
He's got time for that. Not when I've got fucking key time workers. You should be building my ogres when I tell them to build my ogres. I'm just saying. What else are key timers for? Connor Skelly, I'm looking at you. He also got very annoyed when I started using a tree as a tree man, just one of the actual trees. It started moving. Like every turn it was moving up the table, and then at one point it moved from behind a tree, a forest, to another forest. He's going, "What are you doing?" Going, "It's a tree man. It's been moving every turn. If you've not been paying attention." He's going, "Fuck off." Going, suck it up, Connor.
I think he was thinking you were cheating about something, and then before he realized, oh god, that's
every move would be made properly and correctly. It's not my fault. Always pay attention to what your opponent's doing, even if it looks like he's just playing with the terrain.
Talking about weird fantasy things.
We weren't. Oh, you mean this? No, that's different. Yeah.
What the hell is this? This looks like a rip of Warhammer, but I'm pretty sure there's a story behind this.
Well, apart from being fantasy slag, which is obviously great, Fantasy Warriors was Grenadiers' fantasy battle game from back in the day. And Peaceful Warrior is from somewhere in Scandinavia, in Sweden, I think, actually. So,
well, would
he's
you
decided
look
to go
at
back.
that paint handle?
That's one of the best painting handles on the market.
That's a paint handle I can get behind. Fully modular.
It's actually a ball socket as well, so you can tilt it up beyond and the wooden handle is a proper fuck off wooden handle, like a skipping rope handle, so plenty to hold on to.
This is something he built himself. This is nothing.
No. Those painting handles for miniatures have been. I mean, I first seen the first one of those in a Squire's catalogue in '95. Those predate all the current butt plug painting handles from various companies by decades. But I always looked at it and went, it's very expensive. I could just put blue tack. I just put blue tack on the top of a fucking paint pot and use it instead, you know. But yeah, so he's gone back. He's dug out a rake of fantasy miniatures, and then he's also acquired new miniatures from the old sculpts. So the Grenadier range is owned or split up by a couple of different companies. So these orcs were part of the plastic set. They used to do 50 orcs and 50 dwarves in two little separate boxes, and they were £8. Well, they were £8 when I bought it, and it was like 16 spearmen, 16 axemen, 16 crossbowmen, and then you got like a couple of others, you know, just to make it up to 50. So you can still buy these. They're dirt cheap as chips, and I really like the orc bowmen and the orc spearmen. Are still some really fucking nice ones. The dwarf crossbows, unfortunately, have got a very, very narrow stock on the crossbow. There's the crossbows they're like fucking machine gun or laser pistols. You'd
they
be
look
better
a bit
off
like a hammer with an arrow on top.
Yeah, so if you were to get them and that is something that aggravates you, you should probably just glue arms onto them or drill in on either side and put like a pin in, just make them look a bit bigger. But they were still amazing. I mean, a bargain bucket. AM2 still do them, not as many as they did. And the last time I looked, they were out of stock of some of them. So I don't know if they have the molds or they were just selling through vast stocks that they had. I don't know what way it goes, but they were running out. But I mean, as far as especially anybody getting into the hobby, going, where do you start? Here's where you start. Take a $5 to EM and get yourself like 50 models.
I can
see just practice.
These also as a proper replacement for games like Hero Quest.
Yeah.
Because they fit the design. They look a bit different, but overall, I don't think they're looking too much out of place.
The big bases they're on are about 25 square, so orcs, the perfect dwarves, a bit bigger than a lot of games would have. Most games would have dwarves on 20s, but since he's playing fantasy, it doesn't matter. So yeah, it's really nice, and it shows those sculpts, be they ever so cheap and cheerful, still hold up after all these years. It's just gorgeous. You will probably find that compare them to a GW orc of current era, they probably look like goblins, mind you. GW just have swelled over time.
The fungi grew.
Yeah, well. Somebody looked at an ogre, a mantic ogre I was unboxing, and went, oh, a bit small, it's not like the size of an orc. I'm going, no, because compared to every other model in this range, they are the size of an ogre. The fact that GW can't maintain a consistent scale for more than 2 minutes is nobody else's issue but theirs. Oh, I will also say there's the sprue gates for all of these models are right on the back. I don't think there's any Lloyd shots in here, but you'll get a perfect circle, like a cylinder, right at the back, lower back of all the models. And I've seen a lot of people get around that by just gluing something over it, like gluing a shield or gluing something, or you know what, just fucking ignore it and walk away because they're cheap. $10.50. There you go. In 30 years, there's only been £2.50 inflation on 50 orcs or dwarves. That's good value. That's fucking amazing.
Breaking that down, a fraction of what anything else costs.
Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, you are limited to 3 types of troop for both of them, but as you can see, fuck it, they'll fill the spot.
And
They'll do the job, and they look well. I'm hoping for battle reports. My
if
hope
I'm
against
doing
hope.
do the maths correctly, these figures are cheaper if you're going to buy 25 mil bases.
Yes.
Which
yeah.
is
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
bit irritating.
Does that upset you? Huh? Does that annoy you? Oh, what's you?
Well,
Say nothing.
let's go on to the next project then, please. Victorian Empire Strikes Back. Denzian, we have seen you before today. What brings
Yes,
you...
but this time round, he's got some Natal native contingent and some boars. Hello, boars.
And he's doing some very interesting research on... Oh god, he did paint it. Oh, I hate you. I hate you all.
Heaps amount of mischief and off the streets. And it says tartan-ish. It gives the feel and flavour from a distance without being too poo-faced and accurate about it. The colours are there. When you're standing a metre away from them on the table, they look like Scots. You would not confuse them with others. You wouldn't go that they look like they've got serge blue trousers on them. They're not.
I see
not
one
engineers
of
or
the
things.
biggest lies in our hobby.
No, well, depends what he's doing.
Completing.
I could complete my Rourke's Drift any day now if I just push to get the last remaining
Completing
60 defenders, and then that's it. I can walk away. Job done.
No, completing would mean that you would be actually finished at some point. And
Yeah.
no,
That's fine. That's all fine here.
Miniature projects will never be finished.
Of course they are.
They will
Individual projects can totally be finished.
They will reach a state where you are happy with them to stay as they are, but there will always be potential.
No. That's why I went Rourke's. There is a finite cap.
When historical accurate number of
when I hit 179 British, that's all I need. And I don't need to actually get any more Zulus because I can't physically run them in the game I've set up. I've reached peak Zulu.
If you have a modular terrain that is so big you need to go out in the garden,
yes,
you may have overdone it a wee bit.
I don't think so.
Did he glue 4 different layers of foam? Yeah, he did.
Yeah, but that allows you to do the undulating surface. I mean, that's only 4 there because it's the highest point. You'll see in front of it, that's a little hill they're on, and it drops down, and you've got a valley where the road is running up to the low point, which would be the river at the far end. So, lovely sculpted base. Makes perfect sense. All of this is great. I don't know why you're bitching. Germans are so hard to please. So hard to please.
Yes. Losing 2 world wars makes
I'm well aware of the score, Toros. It's open on the other window. And the fact I haven't been swearing my way through this, well, more than usual, I think is testament to me. Just saying.
Is the footy on again?
It is. It's Champions League. It's half-time currently. So. But yeah, always nice to see. And at some point I'll just, get my vaccine and just crash Denzian and just go out about the game.
Just
I know he says
steal all this stuff.
No, I don't need to make him play. Just run me your game. It's probably the way I'll phrase it. Because it's one of these things. He says all of his time and effort goes into making these elaborate, spectacular, all-encompassing sets because he only gets a chance to play a few games a year. But then when it is, it's like big set piece things where you are playing Isandwana or one of the actions in the Zulu War. So you've got all of this, and you can set the table up whatever way it needs to be set up, and you've got the comprehensive forces that you can pick and choose from. So it's all great.
Yeah, I'd like to see if he has any means of fixing the boards together to make them more solid, or if they simply get set up on top of a table, or if there's some.
I imagine it's just set up on top of a table. I mean, the Rorke's bit that he'd done previously had just been set up as like a little vignette diorama on a table. He's normally here. I imagine he's off dreaming of the day I land at his front door demanding a game of Zulu War.
For some weird reason, every time I see a modular table, first thing that comes to mind, how did they manage to make it a solid table? The simple idea of having loose parts simply shoved together always gets me itching.
Well, it depends. Whenever I used to do it, the tables I built for GW, you can get the wooden pegs, the dowels.
Yes.
So what we do is I would hammer dowels into one board, and then the other side is countersunk. And so when you push them together, they lock, and they can't shift back and forward. But then you can still separate them out to stack them away.
Yeah.
So things like that.
That's about that. That's why when did I do that? Was that 2017? The chain table that still waits completion. There's a
hello.
Jessian. Hello.
Just bring beer, you say. I'm on my way.
And crisps.
Anomaly Games, are they the ones who do they're like square sections that can be linked together with? I know Back to Basics do it in Australia. They've got like magnets in them, and you can get various not blanks, but sort of hollow square sections that you then build foam into. So you can do your modular sort of sections, but they've all got flush edges.
So you're now telling me there's a company doing shit I would like to have and nobody to tell me?
We could tell you that, but it's coming up to the end of our tightly scripted half hour. So.
Oh, these tiles, I remember.
I remember these guys.
Not the thing I had in mind, so I'm happy with that. Next project then. Shop practice. Evil Stew's historical tinkering. So Evil Stew is trying to corrupt the timeline again. Didn't we tell him not to? Last time
I didn't think
horrible.
So. No, I think we said tear on. Go right ahead. It's fine. We're all fine here.
Two Fedlati's shop practice historical game. So is this basically a showcase now, or is there something especially interesting you wanted to make us notice?
No, this is purely a showcase.
Oh, the fuck! This is.
But it's one that had escaped my attention in the past. Because I think but he'd done updates subsequent to that, and I'd missed them, whatever had been happening, which is weird because, well, the event's there, it's all well and good, but I get daily pings going, 40 or 50 projects that you follow have been updated, and at some point I just missed this one. So now you have to fucking go back and look at them all. Look at them.
I love the fact that he does a background drop for the setting on his table, so we actually have the illusion of a real setting and not just a sprayed green piece of wood as a battle table. I'm guessing you could set this up and use it in any store.
Yeah, I wouldn't see why not. Well, it's like I said earlier, the backgrounds are nice. There's a few people do it. And it just looks terrific. However, look at this. I mean, just bask in the sheer glory of that 30 or, as he says, fashion parade. It's just fucking gorgeous. It's what hobbying is all about. Being able to set that down on the table at the end of the day and go, have at ye.
And then have a pint, look at them, have a smug grin because your opponent already arrived with grey plastics.
I wouldn't worry. There's two forces there set up. So imagine in a Denzi-esque way, this will be, you come round to mine, you play 30 Years War, and then I go to yours and we play whatever you've put together. Or maybe not, I don't know. Putting words in his mouth. He's not even here to defend himself. It's terrible. But
the poor bastard.
Yeah, he really is. But it's a spectacular look.
It makes me wanna go. Oof.
I thought you were going to go full Cleese there. Makes me.
My brain hurts.
That's the one.
Call the brain doctor.
Apart from the 30 Years War, there's also some work on his Confederacy and unions for Sharp.
Sharpie.
Sharp.
Yeah, talented bastard.
So I will say, I've said it once. So your cut-off point really should be pike and shot. That's really where we want to stop. That's where warfare peaked. After that, it was just an arms race, and it got boring. It's 30 Years War looks great.
we still.
When you get people who can fire more than 3 times in a minute, it's just taking the piss.
We need a war game based on Neanderthals.
There is one. It's called Primal.
Yeah, but I think that's still too complex.
It uses the core system from that Maori game. It's from New Zealand.
Next project, please. Hell's Bells.
It contains both bells and hells, but not necessarily in that order.
The fuck? I think we have looked at this before. Did we?
He glued it together, but now he's put paint on it.
Unheard of.
Outrageous.
How?
Especially for Doug, who we often say, my God, why will he not just paint something? He's so slack.
See, there was just a base merely a month ago.
Yep.
And all of a sudden there's a white red hanging from the bell tower. Why is it a white red?
It's like Jefferson Airplane, that's why.
Why is it a racist red?
Maybe he's not racist. Maybe. I've got
is not good. Now,
White Rabbit stuck in my head now.
Could use some more painting. And the big ogre thingy pulling the lever.
Hark at him.
This one, you know what this does? He dings the dong.
He does. When the dong is dung, it's all over. Is that what we're saying?
No, I was
thinking about... Did you notice he painted tartan on the ogre?
What? Where?
Yeah.
Show me.
On his loincloth / nappy.
Oh, I think that will be another picture then.
Oh, it's next one up. Yeah. Still lurking. What should
we have a double entry. Yes,
there is. That's why it says there's a double entry. See?
You show off.
Tartan. Tartan and a Ballroom Blitz
tartan.
reference. Ballroom Blitz.
Obliterate the tartan.
I didn't think tartan was obligatory until people started talking so much about tartan, and now it seems like most things need tartan in them. Otherwise,
and at some point,
reasons
we lost users over the course of tartan.
No, we didn't lose them over the course of tartan. Lost them over the course of somebody buying OTT.
Which is a discussion in its own. Did somebody buy it, or was OTT simply sold?
Well, I think it's both. Can't buy it if it's not for sale.
There is wisdom in your words, my dear friend.
I thought so.
Undeniably.
I'm like that. But
oh, a gap, an unfilled gap.
Oh. That's it. Go back. Everybody go back. Take all the points off.
Rinse and repeat. Do it all over again.
Well, I would say I don't know if Doug's still about. I think he was here earlier,
He was.
but he may have lurked off because I think he may be working.
Or possibly watching the footy.
No, watching the football. That's true. The big fuck off bell is just incredibly
Big.
bronze. I'm going to say. And what I can't help but think is some verdigris on it, a blue-green verdigris, to make it look like something that's a bit worn. It's been around for a bit, and then would also tie it into the greenish smoke.
Yeah.
I think would be nice because it's very clean, almost too
It looks
clean.
a bit too new.
Yeah, but that's something I can throw peanuts at his head at a later date and get him to do that.
Also, the project
it's
is
been
still
days.
active. Maybe
That is
doing
true.
something.
There could be more.
We demand more.
Yeah, why wouldn't we?
Yes. Next,
I've just realised his rat doesn't have horns.
No horny rat. Not
No
going to
horned
horny
rat.
jail. Next one then, Bali.
Yep.
The dragon again.
Yes, only one entry in here, so just a little one.
Oh,
Just a little
Spooder.
one.
And one that doesn't want to show itself.
Well, it's like that sometimes.
Oh, those look like they could use a massage with the head going sideways.
They're ghouls. They're happier when they're bent sideways and chuckling around. But been delving into the big plasticky world of Reaper Bones to do some stuff up for his Frostgrave adversaries, I suppose, because you need bucket loads of them.
Another Spooder.
Yep.
Chinese doggo and a wraith.
Brewdog and a Wraith. I'm not sure what one of the Wraith he has got. I think it is one of the translucent ones, which
I
comes
think
with that
so too, because
translucent
the plastic
green.
looks very translucent.
And then he's just painted in the darkness, so it's a deliberate choice to have it sort of fading, becoming more translucent as it goes from right to left, which is a nice touch.
And Detritus.
Yeah. The smartest thing on the troll is the moss. Isn't that what they say?
This is actually like I envision most of the trolls in Discworld.
Yeah, I think that's how Pratchett envisioned most of them as well. Certainly how they were described. Although, as we now know from the award-winning TV series The Watch, it's not how they look.
Shut up, you cunt!
Don't make me feel dirty again. A wall of text, yes. Not going to read that. People on YouTube can pause the video, read for themselves. People at home, live on Twitch, can go A, fuck themselves, and B, look at the project. That's why we put the links into the text.
Oh, hark at him, huh? That's
Oh,
Germans.
Mac
Give him a
Mark
bit of
showing
of power.
Very, very high level of tasteful music.
Yes.
Hell
Well.
bells.
Presumably he got that from the name of the last thing, what we just looked at.
Inspiration strikes in various forms and places. Next then
Correct.
is a cardboard terrain piece.
Well, it's a corrugated hill, yeah, but more importantly, it's a Macedonian and Carthaginian army from those lovely people who do soft plastic Macedonian and Carthaginian armies. I don't know if it's Airfix hat or what.
Does the user AHAN123 tell?
No. Well, not that I noticed, but multiple companies do them. So I know I don't have a Carthaginian, but I have a Macedonian army in 172nd, and it's made up of about 3 different companies. Because if you want to get elephants, then you need to go to Zvezda. If you want to get companion cavalry, you need to go to, Hat or Italieri or whoever it happens to be. Plus, it's just nice to see somebody doing what I would say is classic.
I I've got
wargaming using the 1/72 stuff. I mean, this was the entry for me. Was the old Airfix 1/72 or 20 mils if you want to use millimeters.
I think
So-
there's either a entry missing or he's got a weird way of putting words into his project. Because he starts with "next I paint." This doesn't make really much sense, does it?
Not so much. Well, you know, it's a thing. I will say that. He did have to make the Zestons out of toothpicks, although they're a little bit short. I would have been reaching for the brush head, especially for these things. The most annoying thing in the world is getting these little bastards to glue. No glue wants to adhere to the surface of soft plastic 20mm figures.
The bases look a bit weird.
The bases look weird. Nah, the bases are fine. That's the bases. The horses will come on those integral bases. They're molded like that.
No, I'm not talking about the shape, but the weird peeling of the color in the back there. Like,
I don't think it's peeling up color. I think that's just been cut through.
Hmm.
But then it looks like it's either been dipped, which is probably what I would imagine, because that's how I would do it, or he's broke out the PVA glue, a firm favourite amongst the 20mm community. But I'll be fascinated to see what else he does. I am by nature a fascinated man.
And he seems to be of the minimalist hobbyist type.
There's Doug. Oh,
Is he back?
he was. His boss turned up. What a prick.
Oh.
I was being mildly offensive about you, Doug. Actually, what I said was what you really need to do is to tie that bell into some of the rest of the painting. You've got the green smoke and a nice verdigris,
Yeah.
like a blue-green verdigris on it will age the bell down and also tied into the smoke below.
And
So it'll give you more of that green theme.
Also
Just
make a
saying.
video while AC/DC is running in the background.
Oh, yeah, do that too. But yeah, so that's just a little one from me there. Knowing that I also have miniatures like that, and I've been talking to a few people recently who's doing a lot of gaming, because it is by far and away. I mean, the M4, the old Grenadier, 50 orcs or dwarves is cheap, but by fuck nothing is as cheap as doing a small scale historic gaming using the old soft plastic 1/72. You can the money goes a long fucking way with that.
The thing is, I've never seen these in any shop whatsoever. And when we still had a decent model shop that would sell anything but model railways, I know there had been other company plastic kits with, let's say, 10 to 15 different medieval looking types of figures in it. That's 20 years ago. And it's all from very far memory, so...
I suppose it's one of those things. The weird thing, these kits, I didn't have to go to model shops whenever I was a kid for these. There was a general store, which you don't get these days anymore, I suppose, in Antrim called Ivan Gillespie's, and you would go in there and they'd sell fucking coat hangers and bird food and, you know, green wooden stakes to put your tomatoes on, or random groceries. You know, it was just this weird little shop. But he would also have like a small selection of toys, and then amongst those would be, you know, Airfix, specifically Airfix kits.
Yeah, but that's possibly the thing, because I can't remember Airfix being a thing here, apart from the more higher level model kits they did.
Yeah, the 1/72 boxes are great. There's just so many. I've literally 4 or 5 1/72 armies in the roof loft from one point where we're starting to get into historics. Greeks and Macedonians and Persians and Romans and Celts. Is that it? That's 5. I think that might be it. Well, let's say 5, not 6. Let's not, you know, kill the lily. And they're terrific, and at some point they will come down and I will do something with them. I won't.
Well, then
step.
let's go from 5 armies to 1 billion suns. See what I did
Million
there?
suns. I know the
Two
finest
days. Oh, you turned
finest
around
DJ glue stuck this together, huh? Huh?
Now let's go down, 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 down. Oh, this is what he's shown up today? Or yesterday? He did a battle in the sun.
He did.
That insane man.
Yeah. Well, you know, I demand a lot of battle reports these days, and a few people are finally knuckling down, which means they shall survive the purge. Well done to them. When my time comes.
You
However,
may live.
He's starting to play 1 billion suns, and the whole point is you can play on multiple surfaces of various size. These mouse mats, somebody mentioned these in the 1 billion suns group, that you could pick up these space mouse mats, roll out neoprene things that are about 1 foot by 2 foot in a variety of flavors, and they're cheap. It's like all of a sudden people are going, oh, this is fucking terrific. I get like 3 or 4 of these.
They're dirt cheap compared to what you would pay for a wargaming map, because they don't apply wargamers tax on this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because people would look at that and go, you want me to pay how much for that? Fuck off. And your business would be bankrupt. But, yeah. So you've got a simple scale 3 game with 2 maps set up.
And 2 lovely gates.
Yeah. Well, is that a gate? I think are they some of the coaster planets?
The coast of the planet, but in the background there are 2 gates on.
Oh,
on
right. I'm with you. But yeah, it's scale 3 is what they suggest for beginning game. So it's fairly light. But the thing about the system is scenarios are to your scale. So if you're playing a scale 10 game that's going to be massive, and you draw a card, and it will say, you know, put down scale number of space stations. So if you're playing 3, then you put down 3. If you're playing 10, you put down 10. So the scenarios themselves will adjust themselves to the size of the game you're playing. You decide the game first, size-wise, and then afterwards you can go nuts. And this is just terrific. Those are the same gates I have behind me from Brigade. In fact, in this little white box right there.
And I think he's
They are nice.
using Fallout Wasteland Warfare Nuka-Cola bottle caps.
Sure. Why not? You can get some terrific things. I've got a set of tokens coming from a company, hopefully, so that look absolutely superb, but they've been so snowed under. I think I showed you them last night after we finished playing.
Free-aging Nuka-Cola facilities.
There you go. That's the way to do it. But then I found these when I was digging out on my ship for Dystopian Wars. Not Dystopian Wars. Sedition Wars. When I was digging out the stuff from that so I can use it in Stargrave, I discovered that there were these little blue drones. So there's like a shield drone, and then there's like a little gun drone, and then there's like a little like camera drone type thing, and you get 6 of them, 2 of each. 2 of each types, there's 3 types. And then because I bought 2 sets of Sedition Wars, it means I've got 12 of these. And they're the perfect size for my tiny ships, because obviously I'm playing B5. I can just use these as my facilities. They'll be fucking great. It really is 1 billion suns, the game, the gift that keeps on giving, because I'll just be able to use those in 1 billion suns and in Stargrave and just keep moving them around.
I think the big advantage that this game has is you don't have any scale that's given on how big things can be, and since it's completely and absolutely miniature agnostic, you can basically use nails and screws, as some people have shown in a very interesting way.
Oh yeah, people have been going nuts with it. Literally, it's in the same way Battlefleet Gothic did. A few other games have done it as well, to be fair. They do make the point that in the vastness of space, you are like a pinhead. So all you're ever doing is measuring to and from the central stem of the base or the middle of the base. So it doesn't matter what size the ship is on top. People got so stuck on what size should the ships be that they ended up hassling the author into writing a suggested size of ships, which he eventually did, I suppose, to give his head peace, rather than take my stand, which would have been just to tell people to fuck off.
But
Let's go. It's literally it's
the
whatever
thing is,
size
he
you want.
wants
But
to
what
sell
size should they
things.
be? But he doesn't. All he sells is the game.
Yeah, but
And
he
then
still
people
wants
just
to
go and
sell the
buy
game,
ships.
and people are told to be
People
fuck off.
people are fuckwits. Terrible, terrible fuckwits.
No
What
argument there.
size ships can you use? Any size you want. But what size should a carrier be? Whatever size suits you. Whatever ship you want to use can be a carrier. Fucking go nuts. But what size should it be? And eventually he just did a fucking list going 10 mil on a 60 mil base, 30 mil on a 50 mil base, 500 mil on a base that's the size of a small car. And people go, oh, thanks. Now I can finally start getting miniatures. Well, you could get miniatures from the start. Engage your brain. You can't.
I think 87 Collins wants a temporary ban. He's asking for punishment.
It's just, I mean, it's just, I blame GW. And I truly do on this one. GW got so many gamers into the mindset that you have to use the correct miniature with the correct what you see is what you get nonsense on the correct base.
Yeah.
And no other game give a fuck before then. And their little tribe have been so hammered, so beaten down into if this miniature isn't this miniature, then that's not that miniature and you can't use it. And they just can't think the fuck themselves anymore. You go nuts. Well, I'd love to get started in Stars, but it's too difficult. Why? Why is it too difficult?
Maybe that
Go and find a fucking range of miniatures you like, and then find a game that you want to play.
Maybe
that's
that should
how
have
it is.
been the pre-emphasis of the whole rulebook. Going, okay, these is the rules, but first and foremost, always remember, it doesn't matter what you field. Make this game your own. You don't need what you see is what you get. If you want for yourself some kind of size resemblance to make it easier for yourself to differentiate different classes of ships, fine, but don't expect anybody else to do it.
Yeah, no, it's just it's one of those things. It's the same as Clash of Spears. Clash of Spears, when there are no bases, it doesn't matter what you base. You can have them on squares, you can have them rounds, on hexagon, whatever you want. It's completely base agnostic. And people went, yeah, but what size bases should I use? And then they went, there's no bases included with the army deals. I went, yeah, that's because you can put them whatever base you want, but what base am I supposed to use? So in the end, they included 20 mil squares because they get used for a lot of games, the good old 20 mil square. And then people were going, so 20 mil squares is the basing size. Going, no, it's only there again because people are cunts and they won't fucking think for themselves. Fuck you, people. Fuck you. Fuck you to the moon.
I think what we really should do, Jerry, is dedicate one of the future episodes simply to projects regarding A Billion Suns and show the people what you can do.
Just the sheer diversity of madness. I mean, and this is the thing.
We shouldn't
all the ships can be the same size.
To the project system, we should go everywhere.
Go hoking, because as far as the game goes, it doesn't matter if your fighter is the same size as your carrier because it's just representative. So you can go, oh, look at that. That's my fighter. But it's the same size as your battleship.
I can get behind if people don't want that because it breaks immersion. At least for me,
people want.
Again, that's why I said if you want to use different sizes, use your capital ship, make it big. Use your fighter, a tiny one. It's fine.
I would almost getting right up there. I would almost go the other way. I would almost make my fighters the biggest fucking ship I feel, just to prove a point to these bell ends. What are they? That's my squadron of fighters. Fuck nuggets. That's what they are. What's that tiny thing there? That is true scale to the actual fucking gaming table. That's my capital ship. Argo, fuck yourselves.
This is my Death Star.
Rocks on the mat. But anyway, yeah.
So
that's part one of the battle report.
Project System back, and
I look forward to part two, which apparently is coming soon, but with less swearing.
To follow soon.
Also, there was there cake? I can't remember. I think it was cake. Yeah, you cake as well. I don't know any cake.
But he didn't show the cake in detail, so I'm guessing the cake is a lie.
Oh, haha, that's a thing, isn't it?
It is. Next one. Sprinkling
From
challenge.
other
If I
things.
build it, they will come. Apple Mac.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you this first, Apple Mac, if you build it, nope, they won't come.
Well, I'll fucking make sure they do. If people were paying attention last year, Apple Mac dug out 40-year-old English Civil War miniatures that he'd had sitting about doing fuck all, and proceeded over the course of I think it went from the first day of the Spring Clean Challenge to the last day was his last entry, and then he stopped. I know other people were still putting shit in afterwards, but he just went, no, Spring Clean Challenge is this, and I will do it in this, and he did a beautiful, beautiful English Civil War thing. But this is interesting because he's decided to do a table build. So he got Mel's book and decided to start planning out a whole modular system where he can play in multiple games and in multiple sizes, so he can shrink it or expand it depending on what he's playing.
I love the circle in the center with the note, clear space for fighting.
Yeah, that is where all the fighting gets done. You go out, you find yourself a big empty field, and that's where you have your fight. Nobody wants to fight in a forest. Ask the Romans. They'll tell you don't want to fight in a forest.
Place your champion here.
Yeah.
Oh, he's really going out on a limb?
Yeah, well, he has launched whole hog into Mel's planning. Like Soap Dodgers 6Ps and these 7Ps, it is all about the planning. If you just start cutting stuff and gluing shit down, then you can end up with a very serviceable board, but is it all it could have been, or is it going to be missing some things because you decide to go short and sweet? This gets round that.
Oh, and now he's hitting a potential hobby stop, not getting MDF.
Well, I imagine that will be rectified soon enough. Failing that, I mean, there are other woods available.
Yeah, and I can totally get behind the problem of not getting your materials locally. It took me an awful lot of time to find a hardware store that sells the hard foam I wanted to use with my builds in, let's say, reasonable amounts, and not the amounts you usually sell to people building houses.
What I will say is, you should click on the third picture in that constructing the frame, by the way, just to let people see the books that are currently pressing down for weight, because that is a fantastic set of books.
Kings of War, Napoleon Campaign in Miniature, The Scottish Nation, 700 to 2000, and Programmed Wargame Scenarios.
Yep. I mean, those are
and the
some
Legend of
legendary
Arthur.
books. Legendary books. But I know you mean that high density XPS stuff.
Yeah.
Is fuck. Good luck getting it in Northern Ireland. I don't know if you can get it in the south easily, but you can't get it up here for love nor money. If you want to buy it, you have to mail order it from like hobby places where they sell you these tiny little shitty sheets at ridiculous expense.
Like Army Pater does. Or
you have to order a pallet from a commercial supplier that will run you hundreds of pounds. Just fine if you've got a club and you get lots of people to chip in and get a pallet's worth of fucking XPS foam. But otherwise, you're fucked. But B&Q doesn't do the pink stuff in Northern Ireland. You might do it in the south, but they don't do it here, which has always annoyed me.
I think if you go on the ordering page from a hardware store here, the smallest amount you can order is a pack, which has 10 sheets on 120 times 60. And that's about, I think, 50 euros. And it weighs basically nothing. That's why they can send it cheaply.
Lucky bastard. Well, of course you would have it in the Free State. Do we have Mexicans in Ireland? Crispin, everybody south of the border is a Mexican. So, isn't that right? Bugger off, Chingun. Oh, Mexicans. It's your big shiny fucking nuggets, your big peso euros. Anyway, yeah. He starts to get in, after that little digression, he starts to get into actually the sculpting, and started off by doing something very clever, which I imagine is in the book, which is draw it out, lay it down, put your buildings on, measure twice and cut once. Be aware of the sort of size that you've got and what you're playing with. I'll be fascinated to see how the rest of this goes. Like I say, last year, his ECW spring clean challenge was a thing of beauty, and I think we give him an honourable mention because I got sadly beaten out of actually of getting him one of the winnings,
the awards.
Yeah. So I think he just got an honourable mention. So a completely different turn from him this year by just going full terrain. There's a lot more terrain recently, which I'm glad to see.
And what strikes me as what brings a smile to my face is I see him having the same, well, let's not say trouble, but he's always torn between measurements. His drawings were all in centimeters. The measuring stick is in centimeters, but the notes on the actual terrain are in inches of what. Which,
And
yeah, that's always a
I'm going to put that one down to age.
No,
I'm just saying.
I don't think you can say that because of age.
Oh no, you can, because he's English. We know he's at least in his 50s, if not, I think he's actually older than his 50s. So when you hit that age, almost undoubtedly most of the stuff he did would be in feet and inches.
Yeah,
so it's
just for me, because I always struggle if I read some instructions or plan things ahead. I try to stick with centimeters because it's a bit more easier to handle for me because I've grown up with it. But basically, most tutorials work on inches and feet, so following them and then trying to translate that to centimeters always messes up things.
I always stick with metric. Metric is so much easier. Oh my god.
It is.
And the idea of converting, no, you can't make me.
You're not.
I refuse. Je refuse.
Well, then let's venture forth to the next project. I'm just going to hit the follow on this one because I want to see how this ends. And the last one for today then is the cult within the wastes.
I don't know who Korak Cox is.
Well, he's obviously a cock.
Exciting and new. Whoever they are. But doing Gene Stealer Cult. However, via the medium of
Mad Max
and John Blanche's artwork to give him something wholly his own. And already, I mean, right off the bat, the idea of using grass tufts as fur
it's great.
It's fucking genius.
Yeah, I to be honest, I would never have thought of that.
No,
I probably would have gone
Why
out of my
would you?
way, do little snippets of teddy bear fur, and then totally get annoyed because it's not standing up right.
Wouldn't even do that. I mean, everybody's default for fur is green stuff, and then try and sculpt it in with a pin, or get one of those little rubbery stamps that put a fur texture on. But actually, just using stick on static grass, and then trim it to shape and size afterwards. It's going, you sir are a fucking legend. A fucking legend.
Yeah, definitely is something completely new. I don't think I've ever seen someone using grass tufts as fur replacement in any way, shape, or form.
No, it's new on me. Probably have at some point in it, but
Is this a GW model?
GW models, but he has. Well, that truck is a Gene Stealer Cult truck, but he's using aftermarket resin parts from Anvil Industries, and then also you'll see down below, I think, the work in progress where he's using brass rods to make like the canopy arches, like an old wagon.
Like
I,
they
I,
should
particularly,
be.
I particularly like when he shows how the streaking effect looks in the bottom right corner. He's gone full Jerry on that one. And so
No,
the important thing is the AK attractive streaking grind
yeah,
pot, so you know what he did it with.
exactly, because people will ask him, what did you use? And this way, they don't need to ask.
Makes sense
It's
to
a
me.
very clever boy.
Yep. Not going to hear any arguments from me there.
Yeah, but what is this? An empty entry. Well, can't be helped. Weird.
I'll just click on it to make sure.
No, the link is basically the project.
Yeah, it comes back to the project. Yeah, I don't know. Kind of
Going
everything.
full circle. Well, this is
Yeah,
rather short.
fascinating.
Nice. And
It's a good start.
I'm really looking forward on how he's going to paint the bike drivers.
I don't. I mean, maybe somebody pays attention to what GW do. Will be able to tell me whether or not the quad bike, who's got like a massive, almost like an actual fucking astronaut helmet on, is that actually a GW? Because it looks plastic rather than resin, but it also looks so unlike anything GW have ever done. And it's almost understated functionality rather than being covered in skulls. But he looks terrific. I mean, just look at that. You don't even need to paint that fucker up with his furry shoulder pads and his massive wrench and his Clarkson animal skull strapped to the front for going across the Caddy
Sadly, he
and
doesn't
his Lancer.
tell where these come from.
I think it's on the Gene Stealer cult quads. All right, okay, so it is actually part of it. Just amazing. I'd just leave it like that, to be brutally honest. It's fucking done. Move on. Life's too short. Nobody cares.
That's a really, really nice high point to end on. And we're completely within our limit of the 30-minute mark.
Yep. Good times, good times.
Yes, that's very nice. What else to say? People are too talented for their own good.
That's all right. Just keep holding on to the happy thought that I was doing. One day they'll all be dead.
And most likely all before me, because I plan to be very old.
hanging on to the better end.
Yeah, there's the weird conception that men always fantasize about dying in the arms of a young, lovely lady while doing the sex. And I don't know where I picked that information off, but it's more the possibility of you dying because you're taking a shit is higher. Because taking a shit in the later stages of your life is putting more pressure on your vascular system than having sex. So you're more likely to die of a heart attack because you're taking a dump than having sex.
You see, your mistake there is not getting a squatty potty to help you with the angle of shittery, and therefore take the strain off your heart. You need a squatty potty, man, or at least a set of stirrups in the bathroom, either side of the toilet. I imagine you already have one, being German.
Not commenting on that one.
See, fucking you. All about the scat.
Yeah, life's shit. And yeah, with this, everybody, thank you for being here. Hello, YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment, put a donation in the coffee tin. And now, fuck off. I want to go to bed. Bye.